Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D-Real coming at you with another Be Real with D-Real, where edutainment is what I do. And check it out. If y'all like what I do and y'all want me to keep doing what I do, comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D-Real page so that when new material comes out, you will get alerts about it. Like this one right here. If you're digging what a brother's shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. 'Tis how we grow. Now, I'm a little verklempt about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I might be coming a little late to the party on this, but I could not, in my right mind, not do a video about the passing of probably one of my most favorite comic book artists of all time, George Perez. Yeah, George Perez passed on Friday from complications associated with pancreatic cancer. Rest in peace, first of all. Second, my condolences, everything that you can convey to a family when they lose a loved one. I convey to the Perez family, to his wife. Just it's tragic all around, but I don't want to sit here and celebrate his death. I came to you today to celebrate his life. And had it not been for George Perez, arguably, I would say I probably would not love comics as nearly as much as I do if I lived in a universe that didn't have a George Perez. Ha, multiverse reference. See what I did there? Probably the one thing that George Perez is best known for is cramming all kinds of capes and tights on a page together and making it look beautiful. He did it for Marvel and he did it for DC. So he wasn't hating, he wasn't discriminating, he was creating, doing his thing. My first personal direct experience with George Perez art was Avengers number 141, which also happened to be the first comic book that George Perez did on his Avengers run. I remember actually having a folder, taking it to school. I think Mead was the company that used to make them. And it had a picture of the cover of Avengers number 141 on that folder. You know, you carry that to school, and on the back, it kind of had like some frames from a comic. It was the frames in the comic weren't from the cover, but it was from a different comic. But either way, that story was awesome because the Squadron Sinister was kind of like Marvel's version of the Justice League. Now, I have a recommended reading that I'm going to be doing soon that will include them. And just wanted to let y'all know that that was what was going down, and be on the lookout for that. Anywho, he did his run on Avengers lasted from issue 141 to about issue 200, about 202. He had some breaks in there. I believe there were a couple of issues where John Byrne filled in for him, another of my favorite artists. So maybe that's why it seemed so seamless, and I didn't really miss George Perez in his drawing choice. The next popular comic book that George Perez was involved on had to be the new Teen Titans, which he collabed a lot of that with his writing partner, Marv Wolfman. The new Teen Titans run introduced us to so much new stuff that we still rock with today. I have a video called the top 5 things that we would not have if it weren't for George Perez, and I will include the link for that. But some of that will touch on what I'm saying today. But just if you want some more George Perez in your life, go on ahead and rock with that. Anywho, we wouldn't have Raven. We wouldn't have Cyborg. We wouldn't have Starfire. We wouldn't have Deathstroke. We wouldn't have Terra. Robin would never have become Nightwing. All this happened on George Perez's watch. All this and more. I mean, I could go on for days. Trigon, all kinds of stuff, man. Assignment. Who what were they called? The Fearsome Five. Yeah. And in Avengers, on his Avengers run, you wouldn't have had the Korvac storyline were it not for George Perez. You wouldn't have Taskmaster if it wasn't for George Perez. You wouldn't have some of the amazing Ultron stories that you got on George Perez's run. He had 2 really good Ultron runs. The Bride of Ultron story, where he was trying to transfer Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp's essence, into a robot body, Jocasta, which was shown on Marvel's Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So that's storylines that George Perez had that were injected directly into television shows. So there you go. George Perez's influence knows no bounds. The next biggest deal with George Perez would have to be his 1986 reboot of Wonder Woman. What made that 1986 reboot so amazing? We didn't have like a veteran Wonder Woman. We had a new Wonder Woman, brand spanking new Wonder Woman coming into the world. And George Perez's run was Greek mythology heavy. You saw Ares, you saw Medusa, you saw Deimos and Phobos. You know what I'm saying? You saw Zeus. You know, all of that was in that George Perez, again, and Marv Wolfman, Wonder Woman run. George Perez and Marv Wolfman did work on DC Comics, man. It was just a beautiful thing. And speaking of DC Comics, you can't talk about the DC Comics work that George Perez did without talking about his crowning achievement, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Infinite Earths ran from April of 85 to like March of 86. 12-issue miniseries, April, March. Yeah, April of 85 to March of 86. 12-issue miniseries. Basically, DC got tired of a confusing universe because they had so many universes. You had Earth 1, 2, 3, 4, S, Z, X. You know what I'm saying? All them Earths. It's like, man, let's condense this shit. And that's basically what they did. They created a character called the Anti-Monitor, and he was basically just going around snuffing universes. And rather than have all of these universes again, they just condensed them into one contingent universe, and all of these characters sprung forth from that one Earth versus springing forth from a bunch of Earths. Instead of having a Justice League and a Justice Society side by side, the Justice Society was a World War II group, and the Justice League is the not forerunner, but post-creation based on the Justice Society. that kind of a thing. We saw the death of Supergirl in Crisis on Infinite Earths. We saw the death of the Flash in Crisis on Infinite Earths. We saw the Golden Age Superman take on the Anti-Monitor by himself. We saw the Spectre take on the Anti-Monitor. There was so much epic stuff going on in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the story was just, you know what I'm saying? I was running to the store to pick that stuff up. Not like how we got this stuff out here now, and it's like you got it all in 19 different comics, and I got to buy 47 comics to keep up with one continuous story. Ain't doing that. Crisis on Infinite Earths, you got all 12 of them right there. It could connect into other books, but you didn't have to buy those other books to rock with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you, Mr. Wolfman. And then another crowning achievement of his career, and the one that's just iconic, the Infinity Gauntlet. Who don't know what an Infinity Gauntlet is? Infinity Gauntlet was created in 1991. You got kids today that talk about the snap. You got adults today who never read comic books talking about the snap. Thanos was a whole beast in the comics, just like Thanos was a whole beast in the movies. So at least Marvel got that right. It was a story basically of who don't know the story of the Infinity Gauntlet. See, they took some liberties cinematically, but for the most part, kept the core story intact. Thanos is going around trying to find these different stones that will give him the power to manipulate basically anything and anybody. And that's precisely what he did. It is a fantastic read, an amazing story, and it looks beautiful because there's all kind of superheroes in it. Nova, Thor, the Hulk, Drax the Destroyer, Captain America. We see Captain America's shield get destroyed, just like we see it get destroyed in the movie. All kinds of stuff. We see folks get turned into silly putty and bricks, just like they did in the movie. All of that was artwork. All of those visuals based on George Perez artwork. That is how influential George Perez's work is. And finally, probably my favorite, one of my favorites, JLA and Avengers. This was something that they were supposed to do way back in 1983, and they had the rosters, and it was going to be a big JLA group and a big Avengers group, and they was going to go at it, and that never happened because Marvel and DC couldn't get to the table and sit down and say, this is how we wanted to do it. And George Perez had even drawn a few pages of art from Justice League and Avengers. Yep, that's the art right there. And I was happy in 2004 when they finally did the project, and it was amazing. We got to see all of the Avengers we wanted to see. We got to see all of the Justice Leaguers we wanted to see. We even saw situations where the Justice League and the Avengers fought, and then we saw situations where the Justice League and the Avengers were one team at one point. Well, not really one team, but just kind of collaborating like the Justice League and the Justice Society collaborate from different universes. And George Perez drew it all, and it looked beautiful. We saw Superman wield Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and Captain America's shield. Like I said, George Perez don't do nothing but epic, baby. And how much more epic can you get than the world's very first superhero wielding two of the most powerful weapons in all of comics? That's iconic, bar none, period. And we got George Perez to thank for that. And in closing, that's what I want to say, man. George, thanks for the memories. And this, Marvel Studios, Disney, are you listening? This is how you honor somebody. This is how you show somebody your love and respect for them. So, if you want to do a special about Chadwick Boseman, hint, hint, hint. But I digress. What is your favorite George Perez art, story, whatever? Drop it in the comments. And as always, I'll be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.